if you're going to test for race conditions, you could do dash race. And you know what? I think it's probably not a good idea to start doing this right away. You saw how much longer that test took to run, right? When you add dash race, it really, really makes your tests go longer, but it also gives you a much safer view of what's happening. If you deploy a Go application of any kind without running Go test dash race, that's a fail, because there will be race conditions you might not even thought you had. And actually, this is my single biggest complaint about Go, and I understand why it did it, because they did not want to slow down compilation, their precious compilation speed. It's the thing that the Go community, the Go team holds in highest reverence, is, developer speed, but even higher than that, compilation speed. And the Rust team can brag about being able to check for race conditions faster than Go, because everything they write can't be a race condition pretty much. But compilation time in Rust is abysmal. It's like, takes a really long time because they have a really complicated, grotesque syntax, and so that there's a trade-off. So what that means, though, is that means that beginners coming to Go are more likely to encounter a race condition because they've never checked for it and they've never learned how to profile their code, because those are extra steps that are designed to be things that you do maybe once in a blue moon as you're getting ready to deploy, not just compiling the thing to see if it compiles. You saw how fast it compiles and runs without race, right? It's a matter of seconds. Now, if I put, in fact, let's do this. Let's hyperfine that, should we? Oh, hyperfine. Let's do that. Let's hyperfine Go test and see how much longer it is. So that averages 160 seconds. Now let's do it with race. And the reason is because it has to fork off a bunch of concurrent threads and everything. Yeah, so, I mean, it's not that much slower, but hold on now. No compilers check for race conditions by default. Well, yeah, but, okay, so, but Rust prevents you from making race deficient by default. And so one of the big arguments it's being presented is that Rust is safer because you can't write race conditions. And you can't write memory buffer overflows, and that's fair for them to say that, but it's not fair to say that other languages don't have ways of dealing with that, and Go is one of those. The difference is that you have to use the checks and proactively write it, and then people that are fighting against that can invoke the C argument and say, well, you can write safe C also as long as you run all those profilers and checkers on it and everything. So then they throw Go in the same camp with C. Yeah, I think having it be optional is much. I would rather not wait around for race condition checks every single time that I write a test. I would rather have that be something I can turn on. The reason I'm making a video right now is so that people understand that exists. So many people who learn Go don't even know there's race conditions. I learned Go, I probably was coding for Go for about a year, and it's just the style that I learned by doing projects and looking at things. And there's nothing in any of the materials of the books that I read that says to run it with dash race. It wasn't in Turago. It wasn't in, all of the Go books that I read that exist. Not a single one says to use dash race. And none of them get into the profiler, which we're not going to talk about today, which just helps show how much memory it's using and all that other stuff. And yet there was recently a friend of mine was hired to work for a company that does Go development, and the first thing he asked me, the guy who was hiring, was, do your people know how to run the profiler in Go? And I was like, I don't even think I know how to run the profiler that good. So it is a common issue for most languages. So in that sense, I think all the languages are to be looked at in that way. One of the reasons it is coming up right now is that Go is throwing that in Rust is throwing that in everybody's face and saying, hey, all you other languages that need to learn how to use all this extra stuff and make sure you have a profiler and a compiler and that you do, all of that, and you know how to use your symbolic debugger to write proper C or whatever. Hey, all y'all, nobody needs to worry about any of that with Rust. because Rust doesn't have all that. You don't ever need to worry about learning any of that because you can't write unsafe code in Rust. And I'm going to contend that that's not true. And frankly, I think it's a bad sense to project that to everyone else. So to tell a beginner, you don't have to understand your compiler. You don't have to understand, you don't have to understand anything. You can't write bad code. And look, it's been anti-Rust energy because I just got burned by it. The last couple of days, I got really burned by it, and I'm running through the energy of this. The reason, look, and if you want to write, I love Rust for what it's being written for, but stop saying that you should use it because it's safe and easy and you can write it fast, because it's not. Okay, same reason you shouldn't tell a beginner to use Arch. Okay, same reason. Right, and I am JavaScript is awesome for that kind of thing. So look, I am not anti-Rust. I'm not anti-Rust. What I am anti is I'm anti over exaggeration of something's strengths and deceiving people in order to gain people to your community. Let's be open with everybody from the outset. It's going to take you a lot longer to learn how to code in Rust. You'll be a fantastic programmer after you learn how to code in Rust. Just like it's going to take you a lot longer to learn how to make an Arch system and run it. But you're going to learn a lot about Linux in the process. It's not a bad thing, but just be real and don't tell people it's going to be easy. It's just like Python, because hell it ain't, right? And the others go, and I like to put those two together. All right. I don't know how much of that'll actually stay in the final video. Yeah, beginners can use Gentoo, right? But my point is that it's easy to overcomplicate things, which I also